Hi, this is Holly of Holly's Soapmaking. In this video, I'll show you how I made another one of my favorite soaps for wintertime using goat milk, colloidal oats, and honey scented with a lavender blend of essential oils. I'll be sure to link my previous oatmeal soap video, plus all of the other info and details from this video in the description box below. If you're interested in the recipe I used to make this soap, you'll find it at the end of the video where I enter it into a soap calculator. Soap making involves the use of sodium hydroxide or lye, which can burn your skin and permanently damage your eyes. So be sure to learn and follow lye-safe handling procedures during the entire soap making process, even while cleaning up. If you're new to soap making or need help with lye safety, you'll find helpful links in the safety section of the description box below this video. For the oats in this soap, I measured out 1 tablespoon of a fine colloidal oatmeal for every 500 grams of oil in my recipe. If I don't have real colloidal oats on hand, I'll substitute by grinding up whole rolled oats into a powder and then sifting to remove any coarse pieces. In my previous oatmeal soap video, I tried to be too concise in my voiceover and left the impression that I was actually making colloidal oatmeal myself, but I actually meant to say it was just a substitute using the oats I had on hand. I measured out 1 teaspoon of honey for every 500 grams of oil in the recipe. I mixed the honey with just a tiny bit of warm distilled water to make it more fluid and easier to blend in later. I've used as much as 1 tablespoon per 500 grams of oil. Just keep in mind that when adding a sugar to your recipe, the soap can heat up more and can even overheat during saponification. I'll talk about how I avoided any overheating after I pour the soap. My essential oil blend for this soap is my favorite lavender fragrance and one I've been using for years. It consists of 5 parts Bulgarian lavender, 2 parts lavandin, and 1/2 part patchouli. To make my goat milk lye, I first measured out some frozen goat milk. At this point, you could place your container in an ice bath to keep the lye even colder. The only extra container I had was a bit small for this particular lye pot, and I was worried it might wobble or tip a bit, so I just made my lye without the ice bath. When you're making lye, always be sure to work in a well-ventilated area away from children and pets, and never stand directly over the container or breathe any of the fumes. I slowly added the sodium hydroxide a little at a time and gently stirred. It always seems hard to stir when I first add the sodium hydroxide, but I just move the ice gently back and forth and it slowly starts to melt and gets easier and easier to stir. I kept stirring for a bit longer until I was sure all of the sodium hydroxide had completely dissolved. After I made the lye, I weighed out the oils and butters, starting with the cocoa butter first. Once it was mostly melted, I weighed out the shea butter and coconut oil. The liquid oils included olive, avocado, and castor oil. wanted to prevent this soap from getting warm and going through gel phase, and I didn't want to risk it overheating since it had honey in it, so I placed the mold in the freezer for about 5 hours. After that, I moved it to the refrigerator where I left it overnight. You could probably just use the refrigerator, but I have gotten a little bit of gel in the middle of the loaf due to the honey, so I used the freezer just to make sure that didn't happen. I removed the soap from the refrigerator the next afternoon and left it on the counter for 2 more days until it was hard enough to unmold and cut. Since this was a cold process soap, I made sure the top of lye was set to sodium hydroxide, or NaOH. My recipe oil weight was 1,200 grams. My lye concentration was 33%, which means my lye solution consisted of 33% sodium hydroxide and 67% water, or goat milk in this case. I set the superfat to 6%, and my fragrance usage rate was 45 grams per kilogram. Once you have everything entered, you just select to calculate the recipe, then to view or print it. SoapCalc will give you a really nice listing of all of your ingredients, including the amount of sodium hydroxide required to saponify your oils. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found something useful here to help you in your soap making.